It is Humpty Dumpty time, girls and boys. That means it's Hump Night. Wednesday, January 21st, 2009, 7 p.m. on the Pacific coast of the lower 48 states. My name is Lundon Calling. No, that's the name of the show, folks.
Ace.
My name is Ace Lundon. This is the talk show, Lundon Calling, that you've been waiting for. The internet podcast talk show that could get you high. Oh my gosh, you could become a pod head. Think about that one, folks. Welcome, all you wild and wonderful weirdos out there in Podland. Thanks for tuning in. Pre- and post-show music is provided by Sonic Echoes. More information is provided about Sonic on our website, so check it out. Okay, now, folks, if you got virgin ears, please be careful. You may not want to listen to this show because I'm not very politically correct and I use bad words, you know. So just send the kids to bed or whatever. Anyway, I'm warning you in advance. So I say a few bad words, and that's just normal for me. And my co-host, Lance Helms in Atlanta, Georgia, does a little tinkling of the glass and has a little sip from time to time. Lance, are you there?
I am, Ace. Good evening.
Well,
how are you?
I am fine, and here's to you. A little clink of the glass. You know, Lance, on the last show, I'm really pissed at you. You were trying to make me out to be a pothead. A P-O-T. Not a P-O-D, but a P-O-T, a pothead. What do you think a pothead is?
Someone who smokes weed?
And that's a pothead?
Why, to you a pothead is someone who smokes a lot of weed?
Well, that's what they used to say. Oh, he's a real pothead, you know?
Okay. All right. So you're just you're a recreational toker and a smoker and a midnight joker.
On occasion, at least over the period of my lifetime, which now is in the 70s. So, and I'm a firm believer that we one day must legalize marijuana. You know that back in the 20s, it was legal. You know, did you know that?
I think I did know that. You know, how is it that they had legal pot and booze was illegal?
Well, it's the human. We're a little ass backwards.
So is pot legalization one of those things that we can expect from our new administration that's now what?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, it was legal until Old Man Hearst, what was his name? William Randolph Hearst, the owner of the big publication and the one that has Hearst Castle and such in California. Hearst came along during the 20s. And he was one of those people, they blame him for yellow journalism because he managed to really get people stirred up. And he saw a good thing here with marijuana being legal. And he came along and made headlines and made marijuana look like people were going insane. I mean, the stories were just incredible. That if you smoked marijuana, you'd end up in insane asylum, and oh my gosh! And then they financed films that showed people going just craziness because they were smoking marijuana. Well, he made a few bucks more on that, I'm sure too. But, you know, it was legal at one time, and sooner or later it'll probably become legal again, but I'm not sure that it'll be in my lifetime, probably yours, you know. But I just wanted to say I was pissed at you for making me out to be a pothead, you know.
I stand corrected.
Yes, you do.
You are an occasional enjoyer of the magic
yes.
herb.
Well, it's like that little old lady, 4,000 some years old, that they found her skeleton, and alongside of her was in a leather pouch, some cannabis. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Can you believe all the time? Well, maybe she was partying. Who knows? Or maybe it was just some medical thing, little medicine. Or maybe she was just relaxing and meditating. Who knows? But it's been around a long time. Long time.
Ace was for medicinal purposes, I'm sure.
I am sure, yes. Folks, Aristotle said it. It's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Get this through that little gray matter between your ears. Okay? You don't have to believe anything we say. No. But entertain the thought. Think about it. Who knows, You could be like me, and you know that you're aging when your wild oats turn into prunes and all bran, okay? Okay. Obama is now our new president. Yesterday we celebrated an inauguration of history. Holy mackerel. Can you believe it, Lance?
What do we do now?
Well, we go on like we always do. Religion's
that's boring. I had so much fun anticipating his presidency for 2 years.
Yeah, I was tired of it. Got tired of it. Religion's in the news again now, too, you talking
about the world premiere of Jesus Christ Superstar Gospel here in Atlanta?
Well, since you mentioned it, what about it? Yes. I hadn't thought about that, but you go ahead.
It's a complete reworking of the original production, Jesus Christ Superstar, from a gospel perspective. It has a full gospel choir. It's basically been, I guess, rearranged. The songs have not been rewritten, and I guess really the music maybe hasn't even been super rewritten, but it's a gospel take on the original, and I have to say it really works. It's really good, really powerful. And one of the interesting things they did here in Atlanta is to put out a casting call literally to local churches. They put it out. There's a guy here in Atlanta who has a mailing list of like 30,000 people, and it's like a gospel mailing list. And so they put out the call, and so they got a nice cross section of theater professionals and just regular amateurs who happen to be gospel singers. And consequently, the production, which I think here has about 50 people in it, 35 of them are I guess essentially amateurs, one of whom is the woman who plays Mary Magdalene. And the story I was told about her, she has been, I looked at, reading the playbill, it looked like she'd been in at least one other production. So this isn't really, truly, I don't think, her first time at the rodeo, but her story is great. She apparently auditioned to be in the choir because, it has a huge choir. And when the audition was over, they handed her some music and said, "Okay, memorize this and come back. We want to have you back." And she looked at it and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you gave me the wrong part. This is Mary Magdalene. I'm auditioning to be in the choir." And they said, "No, we know. We want you to come back and audition for Mary Magdalene." And so she's Mary Magdalene. It's really cool. Yeah, yes. And I have to say, Ace, this is where the gay police are probably banging on my door, getting ready to take away my gay card, or at least a couple of gay stripes. I am not a universal lover of all musicals. I'm not certainly a universal lover of all drama or theater. I have been known to fall asleep in stuff. I've been known to just be bored out of my mind and want to leave at intermission, whatever. But I have to say, not only did I really enjoy this production, but I found myself very emotionally invested in Mary Magdalene's story. The woman who played her was that good in terms of her singing, her acting. It was good production. And just so you
must
know,
have been good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. If she could break through my bitter, cold heart,
was Was Teddy the star? Was Teddy the star down there? I've known Teddy for many years.
I know
Teddy,
that you have, and
Teddy Neely.
I guess I would submit for your consideration. Can you imagine him in a gospel production of Jesus Christ Superstar?
If when he was younger, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's not in this one.
Oh, okay. Well, you know,
all new.
we all age. But going back
I did see him though. I saw him last year in the original production.
Oh yeah.
So yes, I thought I had told you that, but yeah, he came. He did a touring production that came to Atlanta sometime last year, and I went to see it. So it's kind of cool to have that sort of connection to, you know, you can imagine what the original production was like back in the 70s.
He's a very, very talented man. There.
I'll tell you what, I didn't get the sense that he still has the same voice he had back then.
Probably not. You know,
probably. He can play some Jesus. I mean, he's got the acting part down. I mean, he just does that so well, so well. Really did a great job of it. And the reason I bring all this up, the reason I make such hay out of this Atlanta thing is the theater that is the venue for this production in 2007 won a regional Tony Award. Which apparently is not awarded based on a single production. It's awarded based on like everything you're up to that year. And that, I want to say that was the year that they produced Sister Act, the musical. And I think it was the first production of that as well. And what's interesting about that is to do the stage musical, they rewrote the whole thing as a disco musical, and I'm sure it had a lot to do with maybe not being able to get the rights to all the 60s songs that they used in the movie. So it's this whole reimagined thing with, you know, the disco balls and the bright colors and the big dance numbers, and it will appear on the London stage this fall, produced by Whoopi Goldberg.
Wow.
So we saw it here in Atlanta first, and all I'm saying is I'm thinking that Jesus Christ Superstar Gospel is coming to a theater near you wherever you are.
Yeah, it probably will. Speaking of arts and artists, up in the New York City area, there's going to be a great artist show up there on February 19th through the, through March 21st at the Raw Gallery, R-A-W Gallery on 11th Avenue, 210 11th Avenue in New York City. The show is featuring 300 artists from around the country. And it should be just a phenomenal thing for all of our listeners in New York City to attend.
300 artists, that's a lot.
I know, it is. But that's why I say it's going to be just a phenomenal show. And one of my young friends that I think is going to become one of tomorrow's very, very prominent artists in the art world, Adrian Avila, is going to be one of the artists that they have selected to have him show his works there. And so I'm just thrilled to death. And folks in the New York area, circle the date. February 19th is the reception from 6 to 9 p.m. So join them there at the 11th Avenue Raw Gallery. And then if you see Adrian Avila there, tell him that Ace said to say hi. He will be tickled pink. Anyway, so now we're through with the arts thing.
I bet he would be. That would be awesome. I bet that would be cool to have somebody walk up to him in New York and say, Ace says hi. Have I told you where I'm going to be that weekend?
No, where?
I'm going to be at the world famous Bronner Brothers International Hair Show.
Oh.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it because it's been around a long time, and
60 years.
as a gay man, I do have a few friends who are hairdressers, you know.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm
So,
excited. I'm excited. It's a big, big show. The news this year is that the grand prize in the big hair battle royale is $250,000. So,
well,
yeah,
those hairdressers at those shows, they just go completely wild.
I
God,
can't wait. It's
if
going to
you
be
have
so gay.
if you've never seen some of those shows or had a chance to attend them, oh, you're going to have just one hell of a good time, let me tell you.
And probably something else our listeners would find interesting if they're really into hair or this show, the hair show or entertainment, is Chris Rock made a documentary that features the hair show heavily. It's called Good Hair, and it's about the whole culture around black women's hair. And it features, it has a lot to do with the show. And I'm told it's about a 90-minute documentary, and Bernard Bronner, who's really the driving force now behind Bronner Brothers, is in the documentary for about 27 of those 90 minutes. So it's very much about the show.
Well, Chris Rock is a brilliant artist and brilliant mind, so it should be a good thing. Yeah.
I know, right?
Okay, going back
So
to
I'll
the fact that,
I'll give a full Lundon Calling report from the show.
okay,
The Wednesday. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be
yes,
great.
it will. We'll go back now to the fact that Obama's our new president, and a few things that are in the news again as a result of Obama being our new president. Religion's in the news again, not that it ever went out, and war is in the news again. And I got to thinking about this war thing. He's going to have his hands full with Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and Lord only knows where else. But the first recorded war, you know when that occurred?
When?
Recorded war, 2700 BC. It was between Sumer, which is now modern Iraq, Sumer, and Elam is a region that is now a part of Iran. And this war was fought in the area around Basra, which is just like what happened in the 80s with our Iran-Iraq war, Basra. Of course, then tribes, cities, etc. had been fighting each other for thousands of years before that. But there were no records of these earlier conflicts because writing wasn't invented until a little before 3000 BC. So the first detailed account of a war dates from circa 2525 BC, and it is a pictorial record carved on a stone monument erected at Inannatum, the ruler of Lagash, which is a Sumerian city-state, to commemorate his victory over the ruler of Umma, another Sumerian state. This monument, in case you ever want to travel over there, is known as the Stele of Vultures. And that's Stele, by the way, of vultures. Because it shows birds feeding on the enemy corpses. More importantly, it also shows Inannatum and his army in full war gear, giving a good idea of their equipment and battle formations. So wars go back a long time, and now we're still fighting wars, and Mr. Obama, our new president, is going to have to deal with all of that bullshit, too.
Wow.
I don't envy him.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yep. And going back to the religion in the news again, as a former minister and as a gay man, I was thinking about the fact that Obama had, the invocation and the benediction ministers there, and Reverend Warren was the invocation,
Didn't I tell you that Dr. Lowry was going to bring the house down? Man, I called that.
Yeah, and he did the benediction, and it was wonderful. Now, I got to thinking about that. Actually, the benediction is the most important thing anyway, so I couldn't figure out why everybody was getting so excited about Warren doing the invocation. It's the benediction that that really, as far as the ministry goes, is the main thing. But I got to thinking about that and how the gay community was so upset with Warren, etc. Well, Obama is trying to do something that may be the impossible, but I got to give him credit for at least trying. This whole thing with religion. I know that one of our sponsors is a wonderful chapel down in Atlanta, the Gentle Spirit Christian Church of Atlanta. So, folks, if you're down in the Atlanta area, do look into the Gentle Spirit Christian Church of Atlanta. And if you have a desire to attend a church, this might be a very wonderful church. If they're a sponsor of our show, they've got to be some pretty broad-minded people, let me tell you. And that's what we need in the world, a few broad-minded religious people, rather than the ultra-left or the ultra-right stick in the muds, I got to thinking about all of this and about the fact that I was really frightened during the Bush administration because of the ultra-religious right, and knowing that theologies like the idea of having power, and the wars that have been fought, I don't know what the percentage is, but I'll bet it's at least been 90% of the wars have been over theology of some nature. And I got to thinking of the fact that, good Lord, we could end up in a theocracy here in this country, And I thought
How much of it is that wars are fought, for religious reasons, or that they're fought in the name of religion, which is two different things?
Yeah, well, the religious reasons would be, you don't believe like I believe, and I'm going to take care of you to make you believe that like I believe. That's the basic thing. We've got the only way to believe. I talk to my evangelical friends, my Muslim friends, you name it, my Catholic friends, and they all are convinced that their way is the only way. So no wonder wars are fought. One thing one might consider when we look at life through a religious prism, it is obviously at odds with secularism. The material world of secularism, seen through the religious prism, reveals the never-ending struggle for the ruling of the mind of the masses. The power to control the mind is imperative to produce a preordained way of life. You're not a Baptist? You ought to be. You're not a Catholic? You ought to be. You're not a this or a that? You ought to be. Preordained. Every organized religion provides this. Did you know that, Lance? They provide a way of life for people. True followers, therefore, don't even have to think about what their way of life should be if they become involved with a religion. They simply follow the directives. In my autobiography, I referred to it as clones. You visit any country where religion is the state and or the predominant, you have to consider this. Judaism is a way of life. Roman Catholic is a way of life. Mormonism is a way of life. Are you following? You can see in each of these things that I'm mentioning, they have ways of life. Islam is a way of life. Hinduism is a way of life. Voodooism is a way of life. Buddhism is a way of life. Greek or Russian Orthodoxy is a way of life. Wicca is a way of life. Evangelical Christianity is a way of life. And the various Protestant denominations, however many of them there are, all provide ways of life, just like the Aboriginal religions do for the people. Followers of each of the above have their way of life laid out before them from the instructions of their so-called holy books or the appointed leaders or teachers. They never have to wonder, do I eat this food or that? Do I cover my head or not? Do I attend a meeting or not? Do I pray this way or that way? They never have to ask if there's a heaven or a hell, because their future after death is never questioned as just a fact that's given them by their teachers. This is accepted even without having any proof from anyone who may have been there and returned. They have no problem knowing what the rules are for sex and what they must follow. They know what is expected from themselves as followers with regard to giving money, music and entertainment, children and child rearing, and who is the dominant and who is the submissive in their ritual legal unions. They are provided with a way of life, not to be questioned, only obeyed. Some followers in their way of religious life are walking billboards which identify their religion. They are visible because of the required way of life in their clothing or costume. And you don't have to walk alongside someone very long, walk in their shoes, and you'll know their religion, even if they do not explicitly tell you what it is, because theocracies provide ways of life for people. Makes it easy. You don't have to really think. All you have to do is obey. Just talk to the...
There's freedom in obedience.
Oh, yes.
St. Thomas Aquinas said that.
Well, there again. Was he a religious man?
He became one.
Yes, well, I imagine that that's part of the teachings of some religion.
There is freedom in obedience.
Okay. I want to whip you.
Is that supposed to be freeing for me?
You know, the one thing I do like about this Obama man that is now our leader, I like the fact that he has a vision. And I'll have to go to some scriptural thing with regard to this. The New American Standard Bible from, I think it was 1995, the mid-90s, in their version, says, where there is no vision, the people are unrestrained. But happy is he who keeps the law. In the King James Bible, says, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Now, vision is important if we are going to have any future at all. And so those things. You see, the nice thing about all of the various holy books, the Bible, the Torah, you name them, there are so many of them. I've only read the Bible. I've gone through it, I think, about 5 times. I've read the Quran twice, the Bhagavad Gita, and all of the various other books of the major religions. There are some wonderful things in these books. I think the problem comes in when man decides that one little line in a book becomes the law. Don't spill your seed, or you're going to go to you know where. So no more jacking off for you, buddy. Anyway, one little line.
Are there people who really preach that if you masturbate, you're going to go to hell?
Are you kidding? What do you mean? Where have you been living, in a bubble?
Incredible.
You know, I tell you, I was told I'd go blind.
Well, I've heard that.
Yeah. Well, that's
That
only 50.
every time you masturbate, God kills a kid.
That's 60 years ago or so. Well, we've come a little ways in 60-some years,
Yeah.
And we were told, in the 50s and 60s that, we could be, as gay people, we could be, saved from our error of our ways. We could not have chosen to be gay. Well, I tell you, I got to do this. My fellow heterosexuals out there, I would like to challenge you to make a choice to become a queer. You choose to be gay, since you think that maybe, or at least there are those, I don't know if you're thinking it, but a lot of people think that I chose to be gay, that I made a choice. So if that's true, then everyone has that opportunity to make a choice. So choose to be gay. What does that mean? Okay. What does a straight man do with regard to his sexual life or her sexual life that is just so-called normal? Well, you have sex with someone of the opposite sex. You are not afraid to do a little bit of deep French kissing. You'd like to fondle. You like to do a little, what we used to call muff diving.
Oh, God.
Well, that's what we used to call it. I don't know if they still call it that or not. Just it's a normal thing for the heterosexual. Okay, now if that's normal, and I supposedly was a normal person, but I chose to be so-called abnormal by becoming a gay person, then what does that mean? That means maybe I don't like to muff, go for the muffin anymore or whatever. Maybe I like to suck cock or something.
Oh, dear.
Well, listen, let's get real, folks. If you can choose to be gay, then, my fellow heterosexuals out there, you could choose to do the things that a gay person does. And if you can do that, you come and email us at lundon.calling@gmail.com, and you tell me that you have chosen to become a gay person. Because I really would like to meet
you. And you'll get a toaster for that.
I really would like to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible. Mm-mm. Of course, I know that in the realm of the sexual appetites of the animal called human, there are those that they call bisexual, like a little bit of that and a little bit of this.
Now, Ace, that's not what it's about.
What is it about?
It's about that they can be attracted to either at any given time. It's not that
that means they like a little bit of this and they like
it's not a sexual smorgasbord.
I didn't call it a smorgasbord. I didn't call it a smorgasbord.
But it's in a little bit of that.
Well, that's what it is. They are capable.
It's a little deeper than that. You're terrible.
Oh, well, think about it, folks. It's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. You don't have to. I'm just throwing it out. Faith is an important thing in life.
Or as the young people say nowadays, I'm not trying to start nothing. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Right. That's where I got it. It's all those young people. They're making me into something. Who knows what? Anyway, Faith is an important thing in life, but faith doesn't necessarily have to be a religious thing either. When you sit down on a chair, you're doing it in faith. That's faith. It's the simplest kind of faith that I know of. I was thinking the other day about what Martin Luther King Jr. said. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. And so, President Obama, you're taking some first steps in faith when you're now going into this, this administration and a time when we are really up against some big, big problems. So bless your heart, Obama. I may be a Republican, but I really do support you. And I want you to succeed. I don't have a way of telling you anything that I think could make you successful. Outside of what Dr. King said, you take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Take the first step. But one thing I like about Obama is that he has a vision of the future and for the future. And so he's taking steps. And that's the only way we get to the future. We take steps. I was thinking also, because I don't read as much as I used to. I used to read prolifically. But I was thinking about the different religions and such. Do you think Islam is a religion, Lance?
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I?
I don't know. Why would you?
Why would I think it's a religion?
Yeah.
I've never known it to be anything but a religion. What are you getting?
Because you've been told that it was a religion, right?
Well, okay. So what is it? A political party?
A way of life.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. So it was a way of life in Christianity, is it?
No, Christianity is a way of life, too.
Is it really? No. I totally beg to differ on that one. I can see how, Islam might feel more like a way of life because there are the dietary restrictions that you have during Ramadan. There's the
and the Jewish and Christian don't have those things. It's in the book.
But those things are in there. But I don't have to do anything 5 times a day for God or Jesus, and I don't have to ever fast. I mean, I can be Christian without really having any sort of a way of life.
You're one of those. You're one of those kind of Christians, huh?
What, the ones that go to church and that's kind of it? What?
I'm just pulling your joint. That's all. Anyway, folks, check out this. Dr. Peter Hammond is an author. He wrote something about what Islam is not. The title of the book, and it's worth your read, Slavery, Terrorism, and Islam. Check it out. Dr. Peter Hammond. Okay? You don't have to agree with him, but read it. I right now, I'm getting so old that all of my friends in heaven think I probably didn't make it. What can I say?
I actually just got done watching again this documentary that I've had on DVD for years called Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really well done. I'm trying to think who produced it. It's probably a public television production, and it was done in 2002, and I'm sure it had a lot to do with taking a look at Islam and in the aftermath of in the post 9/11 world, and it's really, really good. I learned a lot.
Well, I tell you what, folks, you don't want to look into history too thoroughly, because if you do, you're gonna end up thinking some very different thoughts about what's going on today because of what has been in the past. We are what we've been becoming as not only an individual, but as a society, as a nation, as a world. And I tell you, when you start really studying history or archaeology and all that sort of stuff, there are some things that will just blow your frickin' mind. And you wonder how we...
So are we going back to the war in Sumer and how this is a...
Well, that's something. That is something, you know.
Okay.
Why do we still have wars? You know?
Why do we still have wars? We're supposed to be so civilized.
Hey, there's a thing called greed. There's a thing called power struggle.
That's really what it's about. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I said, you know, you can't really argue that throughout world history sovereign nations haven't waged wars because of economic interests. People don't really... We like to say we're defending freedom and all that. And there are, you know, hey, World War II, we probably kept Europe from self-destructing. We probably kept Asia from self-destructing. But Iraq, really? I don't know.
Yeah, but you have to remember that in World War II, we were attacked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what propelled us into Europe, though.
Well, it certainly took us around the world, let me tell you.
Yeah.
One thing led to the other.
I'm ready for some American isolationism now, though. I'm ready to go back to that.
I have a dear cousin in the state of South Dakota who'd like to have a fence built up around the state so nobody else could get in. She wants isolationism.
Well, I'm not that extreme. I just mean I think we pay attention to our own little, you know, we got our own little problems and, you know.
Yeah, we need, our economy these days sucks, you know. I bet you don't dare. You don't dare ask.
25% of American children go to bed hungry. Still,
I know.
In this day and age, in the richest nation that the earth that has ever been seen on the face of the earth.
Well, maybe
still,
not quite.
25. What's that?
Maybe there have been richer. You better study your history.
Okay, put me on the bus and take me to school. What are you going to tell me about Rome or China?
Well, there are some tremendous historical facts about great nations of the past that were incredibly wealthy in the then known world. We are in the now known world, and so we're the big shits now. But believe me, there have been bigger ones.
Well, here's another way of looking at it: an incredibly wealthy nation that exists in a time when, I mean, we have the technology to make Fritos or Cheetos or Pringles, and we still can't figure out a way to feed the 25% of our children who go to bed hungry. Children, what did they do to deserve hunger?
Uh-huh. Good question.
Unbelievable. Where's their bailout?
Well, I bet you don't dare ask for a pay raise today with the way things are.
Well, I make myself a raise, man. I'm in sales.
That's it, yeah. But to ask your boss for a pay raise, this is not the time.
No.
I was thinking about this Mexican maid who asked her boss for a pay raise. And
are we going to talk about Will and Grace? Well, actually, Rosario's Puerto Rican.
Her boss was so annoyed at this and asked, "Now, Maria, why do you want a pay raise?" "Well, Senora, there are 3 reasons why I want a pay raise. The first is that I iron better than you." And she said, "Well, who said you iron better than me?" "Well, your husband told me so." "Oh, the second reason is that I am a better cook than you." "Nonsense. Who said you were a better cook than me?" "Your husband did." "Oh. And my third reason is that I'm a better lover than you."
Oh.
Well, the wife was really furious now, and she said, "Did my husband say that as well?" "No, Senora, the gardener did."
Mm.
So the wife says, "So how much of a raise do you want, Maria?"
Right.
That's a good way to ask for a raise. Good way to ask for a raise, you know.
Yes.
Oh, it's good to have friends in a time when things are rough, though. Believe me, friendship is like peeing in your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel the true warmth.
Oh, God. Oh.
What's your security blanket, Lance? Obama's is his BlackBerry, I think.
My security blanket? The thing
Yeah,
I couldn't do without? Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
do you have something like that?
I probably don't. I don't wear jewelry. I don't have. There's probably nothing that is consistently on my body every single day that I'd be freaked out if I lost.
What if you couldn't talk on the phone while you're driving?
I'd be totally fine with that.
You would be, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, and I don't really do a lot of that anyway. Although we have that particular habit to blame for the fact that you and I are now mutually podcasting.
I tell you, I can't believe the number of people that I see walking around talking, you know, to nobody, but they're talking in some little thing in their ear or mouth or something or other.
The world is their living room.
Yeah. I think they'd be like Obama. They need that little security blanket. Or those those
don't get
texters.
me wrong. Don't
What-
get me wrong. I have a BlackBerry. Love it. Love being able to use it. But you know what? I can set it aside and forget all
What
about
about that? What was it? The 14-year-old girl that racked up a $900 bill on some.
Oh my God! She sent something like 14,000 text messages.
Yeah. What is that? I mean, besides being a little bit insane, you know.
Well, I saw it. The first I heard of it was on the Daily Show, of course, with Jon Stewart, and he goes, but in her defense, she said something like, "But that girl really was being a total bitch."
Boy, I tell you.
Yeah, you know, those are
I
really
don't know.
mean texts.
If you were a parent and had that, you know, that child, somebody get their little butt tanned, I tell you that much. But, of course, this is the time of being politically correct, and you certainly don't want to chasten your children. Even if you are a Christian and the Bible says you spare the rod, you're going to spoil the child, you still wouldn't think you'd go against the Bible because political correctness is more important, etc. And who cares if your children end up being spoiled, you know?
My children would hate me if that were my... Well, first of all, that would not happen if that were my child. There is clearly a disconnect there between the child and the parent. Something is not functional there. But if that did happen to me, here's why my child would hate me for the rest of her life and I'd be okay with it. Because the phone would be in the toilet. I'd be like, see, watch this. Done. We're now done with that. You are more than welcome to purchase a phone for yourself with your own resources and pay for it. I support that.
Yeah.
I am no longer your telephone support system thing. Done. My kids would hate me. They'd hate me. And I'd be and I'm fine with it. I'd be the parent who'd be like, you know what? Hate me till you're 80. This is good for you. Have a good night.
I like that.
How is that? How is it that I can be such a softie with a dog and I can be so hard with people? Because, I mean, the dog, I'm like, oh, Daisy, she just messed all over the floor again. Well, let me clean it up and find her a chew toy. I'm like, oh, isn't she adorable? But, you know, people do stuff, and I'm like, hey, you're a loser. Get out of my face.
No, I practice hard love with all other animal forms as well as the human. By the way, one thing that would certainly make life a lot better for families if your kids smelled a little bit better than they do sometimes. Have you thought about that? I tell you, little kids or young people, etc., they can smell pretty bad at times. I think that parents and grandparents. Well, old people can smell pretty ugly at times too. I shouldn't say smell. We smell with our noses. We smell the stink or odors. That's what it is. They can have a pretty bad odor. Old people, young people, or you go with certain people that have genetic things, and man, their sweat, whoa, 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 it's enough to knock you off of the floor, you know. But I think what they should do is get a hold of Bel Sapone handcrafted soap, which is one of our sponsors. Yes, yes. You better check it out, folks. It's right there on our website. And this soap is the stinkiest, most wonderful stink you've ever smelled. It's true. It's
Hanks,
true.
with a pitch man like you, I'll tell you, I can't go wrong.
I swear. I stink wonderful. I just, I have to beat them off, They follow me around.
Excuse me? I thought you were celibate.
No, I was at one time. I'm not now. Now I'm impotent.
Nice. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been this evening's overshare.
When you reach my age, what are all these men taking that Viagra thing for? Please, it's not because they got a big old hard on easily. They got to have a little help. Ha!
Oh, you're terrible, but it's true.
It's true. The truth is,
Ace, we think it. We think it. You say it. That's the relationship the human race has with them. That's the arrangement. That's the agreement.
Yeah. Do you know I have an older woman now that thinks I should be her husband. Lord, I thought I'd gone through all of that in my past. I was what do you call stalked at one time. And I had what a mess that could be.
Ace, you always come back to the basics.
Well, what can you say? And this old lady, she thinks that I should get into her pants. Are you kidding me? So I've got to face this.
You're like, oh no, they're not my size.
I've got to figure out a way of letting her know. I don't know if she knows that I'm a gay man or not, but sometimes, when you get an old lady that's hotter to trot than a who knows what, there's just no stopping them, Anyway,
Really?
Yeah, that's the way it is in life.
How's that possible? All these middle-aged dudes on Viagra, and you're talking about being impotent, and these old women are like hitting it. I mean, I knew women hit their prime a little late, but that's kind of off the chain.
It's like the two hillbillies that walked into the bar. While having a shot of whiskey, they talk about their moonshine operation. And suddenly a woman at a nearby table who's eating a sandwich begins to cough. After a minute or so, it becomes apparent that she's in real distress, and one of the hillbillies looks at her and says, "Can you swaller?" Well, the woman shakes her head. "No." Then he asks, "Can you breathe?" The woman begins to turn blue and shakes her head. "No." The hillbilly walks over to the woman, lifts up her dress, yanks down her drawers, and quickly gives her a right butt cheek a lick with his tongue. The woman is so shocked that she has a violent spasm and the obstruction flies out of her mouth. And as she begins to breathe again, the hillbilly walks slowly back to the bar, and his partner says to him, "I'd heard of that their hind lick maneuver, but I ain't never seen it.
I knew that's where you were going.
I ain't never seen it done to nobody." Yeah, the hind lick maneuver.
Good old redneck emergency medicine.
By the way, with the new president and everything, and the fact that we've had some wonderful music, it brought back to my mind when I was traveling on my book tour, and getting a chance to go across this great country of ours and seeing everything. Every once in a while, as we were driving along, I'd start singing, "Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties." Oh, my God, they were wonderful. And, my friends that were with me on the tour, they'd kind of make fun of me for being so, what's the word? Anyway, I was just kind of a little sissy thinking about all the beauty of this country. And I got to thinking about America the Beautiful. Do you know that the lady who wrote that was a great poet in the 1800s? She died in 1929, I think it was. Catherine Lee Bates. And would you know this? Catherine Lee Bates, who wrote America the Beautiful, was a lesbian. Yes, she was.
I think I knew that. I did know that.
She was professor of English at Boston's Wellesley College, and her beloved partner for 30 years, Catherine Coleman, was a Wellesley College history professor. And Catherine Lee wrote the poem America the Beautiful and the lyrics to that song that has become one of our enduring national songs. Yes, made me feel proud. Speaking of strong, quiet women like Catherine Lee Bates, did you know that whatever you give a woman, she'll make it greater? You give her sperm, she'll give you a baby. If you give her a house, she'll give you a home. If you give her groceries, she'll give you a meal. If you give her a smile, she'll give you her heart. She multiplies and enlarges what is given to her. So, my fellow male friends, if you give her any crap, be ready to receive a ton of shit.
I love it.
That's the truth. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, looks like our good friends out there in Podland have wasted another hour.
Are we that close? How close are we?
I'm very close, Ace.
Well, you're not even breathing hard. I couldn't believe it.
I'm smooth like that.
What is our time? I don't have my eyes on properly.
We're probably about, 2 to 4 minutes out.
Is that it? Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all for our first podcast under the new administration.
Yes. Yes. This woman went to the pet shop, speaking of our pets, and immediately spotted this large, beautiful parrot. There was a sign on the cage that said $50. So she asked the pet store owner, "Why so little?" The owner looked at her and said, "Look, I should tell you first that this bird used to live in a house of prostitution, and sometimes it says some pretty vulgar stuff." Well, the woman thought about this, but she decided she had to have the bird anyway. So she took it home and hung the bird's cage up in her living room and waited for it to say something. The bird looked around the room and said to her, "New house, new madam." Well, the woman was a bit shocked at the implication, but then thought, well, that's not so bad. And then her two daughters came home from school, and the bird saw them and said, "New house, new madam, new girls." And the girls and the woman were a bit offended, but they began to laugh about the situation. Moments later, the woman's husband, Alex, comes home from work. The bird looks at him and says, "Hi, Alex." It's one of those slow things that just creeps up on you. Gosh. Oh, folks, be sure and send us your emails and tell us what you'd like to hear. Thank you for sending us your little gifts and donations. It's what will keep us going. Just check on our website and use the PayPal thing, and I thank you in advance. And remember, you don't have to believe anything we say here. Just remember that it's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So we want you to think, okay? I guess it's time to say goodbye again, yes?
I think it is.
Okay, folks, down pod the loadcast and do it. Oh, that's not quite right. It's down load. What is it? Down pod the loadcast? Load
Pod the downcast.
or something. I can't remember, but you know what to do, and it's on. What do you call? You can put it on iThings, or who knows what you can do with it. Check it out. Okay. We love you. Thank you for being able to put up with us. We'll be back next week. Take care. Take care of yourself. Okay?
Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.